This is episode number 19 of the Homeowners Show. Whether you're DIY or looking to hire, we're here to help you find the best information and options for you and your home. My name is Kevin Hackett, and here with me is Craig Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Homeowners Show. We are broadcasting live. I think this is our second episode from the new fabulous Homeowners Show studios. As well, if you're watching this on video, it's about as beautiful as we are.
Yeah.
So we are glad that you could join us. You can always find us on iTunes, Stitcher, some podcast platform, I'm sure, that's out there. Whatever the one funky one Kevin's using.
I use Pocket Cast.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And you can also find us on Facebook and some other places. We're on YouTube.
Instagram.
Yep, we're on Instagram.
And www.homeownershow.com.
On the interwebs.
Yeah.
So, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good.
We're like a couple weeks into the new year now.
Yeah, just trying to, get into the swing of things, make sure that...
Remain resolute.
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah, I was thinking, now's about the time to start going back to the gym. All the resoluters are gone.
It's all cleared out. The good equipment's available.
Yeah, you can find a parking spot now.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So, anything good going on?
Well, I'm working on a project right now in my house. I just finished a project that we talked about a little bit last episode.
Yeah.
And I'm building a bench to go in there. So I've been doing some woodworking. And
after spending all those years sitting on the bench, you decided, if I'm going to be there, I'm
going to build one. Yep. Put it in my house. Yeah.
So is it coming along?
Yeah, it's coming along. It's something a little bit different than I've ever done. But I'm excited about it. Some neat stuff, and
we need some pictures, man.
Yeah, we'll get some and throw them up.
I was seeing some pictures of the shop you were getting to work in. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, dude, the shop. The guy, the friend of mine that has that shop, he went all out, man. It's sweet.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything you need in a woodworking shop, it's got it. Full with the dust collection system and everything. I mean, it's awesome.
I think that thing's more ventilated than my house.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, it's good because it's in his house, so he needs it well ventilated.
His house. That's fine.
Yeah.
So we got a cool episode for you guys today. We got our good buddy Justin O'Neill in the house. How you doing, Justin?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. What's happening?
Not too much. Just making a podcast. Yeah. But Justin is our roofing expert. So we're gonna be talking all things roofs today. You excited about roofs, Kevin?
Yeah.
You ever fallen off a roof?
I have fallen, but not off a roof. Thank goodness. Now I can't tell you that I haven't jumped off a roof.
Uh-huh.
I've jumped off a roof. Thankfully onto it. It was dumb.
Trampoline?
Yep.
Into
a pool.
I know that move.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome.
You like a full gainer into the...
Yeah, well, I was the bench guy, remember? I was never good enough to do a gainer. So,
Justin, does Fair Claims recommend roof jumping trampoline into a pool?
It doesn't hurt the roof at all. So, I mean, if you're to each his own.
Doesn't void the warranty, right?
Does not void the warranty at all, no. Just don't do it with cleats.
In fact, if they'll send you the video, you'll put it up on the page, right?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
if it's one of your roofs.
Yeah, of course. Even if it's not, we'll still laugh at it.
Okay. How much better could this have been if you jumped off one of our roofs?
Yeah, obviously. Especially if there's video footage.
See, that's a marketing campaign I just came up with for you right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need guys jumping off of roofs and falling, and it could have been a Fair Claims roof.
We can start offering a roof platform for jumping off of as an upgrade option.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're brainstorming, starting new business ideas.
Yeah.
Doing great.
All right.
Cool. The coffee's kicking in from earlier this morning. So, well, man, Justin, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the biz.
And it was just kind of one of those things I honestly stumbled into. I never sought out in life to say, hey, I'm going to be a roofer, and I'm going to get into roofing and just, that's going to be my career. Honestly was approached by somebody that I went to church with that I knew was in the business, and I had approached someone that I knew about potentially going to work for him, and was interesting to me because I was working for my family, going to college, and was looking for an opportunity to do something part-time, really, but something that I felt like I could do well with as far as communicating and going on whatever appointments they had, and approached him and kind of worked out. Started working for him part-time in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That commuted about an hour each way each day.
Oh, wow.
But that was back when gas was cheap, and
could afford such things.
Yeah, but just did well with it. Took a liking to it. Started having some financial success, and decided to put my collegiate career on hold while I pursued a career in roofing. And man, that was be almost 20 years ago.
That's the whole time now.
Yeah, it's worked out.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So what was the what was kind of the hardest hurdle when you got started into it? I mean, was there like a big learning curve for you, or?
Functionally, yes. I mean, I was blessed with an ability just to be able to have a conversation with someone. I was never really intimidated to go sit down and just chat about something.
Yeah.
My hurdle was in the nuts and bolts of something that I didn't know much about.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, telling people that we used 3-inch roofing nails because we had a clause in our agreements that said we weren't responsible for anything within 3 inches of the roof deck. So I said, well, the nails have to be 3 inches long, if we're going to damage something. But, obviously we're not using 3-inch roof nails. And someone finally said, man, I've never seen a 3-inch roofing nail. Can you show that to me? And I was like, oh, well, let me check on that. And I realized I educated myself real quick that we weren't using 3-inch roofing nails.
Some 3-inch nail salesman was really enjoying you back then.
I'm telling you, man. But you learn a little bit, and you figure it out. Fortunately, this was a business, especially back then, that a lot of almost everything that we did back then was storm related. So we were working with and helping people that already knew they had a need. There wasn't a diagnosis learning curve then, like there would be, say, now in my business and everything that we do. But for the most part, we were just helping people replace storm damaged roofs, and was able to
so like in the Dallas-Fort Worth, it's more like wind damage and things like that.
Mostly hail.
Okay.
You get a lot of large hail that goes through up there, and it does a lot of damage, especially with the size hail that they get up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, you know what I say?
Yeah.
Rain, yes. Hell no.
I would disagree with you, Kevin.
Okay. All right. Okay, so it sounds to me like at some point that transitioned for you, though. Was that a business move that you wind up having to kind of move out of storms, or you just decided, we can branch out a little bit more and do people's roofs that just need them because they're worn out?
Well, I think we were always open to that from the beginning, but as a part of our business model was to go out and actually focus on the insurance work, and up there the market mentality for the most part is we don't replace our roof unless we have storm damage, because if we don't have it now, we're going to get it. And moving from that market down to the market that we're in here, which I relocated back in 2001, the company that I was working for decided they wanted to branch into this market. Following, it was the year Allison came through. There was some other storm-related damage that was here. They decided they wanted to branch into this market, and I was the most flexible and one of the more productive guys in the company, so they relocated me to help start the branch. Did that. About 6 months in, we got off to the ground. Things were going great. Company was, having some issues, financial. Just things were changing. I was feeling a lot of stress, and had the opportunity to leave that company to partner with my partner now, who is one of the founders of the company I worked for. He had left about 6 months prior. And we had stayed in touch, and he'd given me the opportunity to help start this company. And when we started the company, we were still really going after that insurance claim work. That was why our name was originally Fair Claims. But just over the years, within a couple of years, the market was a little bit different, but you gradually diversify into other things. You realize that there is a pretty normal turnover in roofing that we have here because we don't have as many storms, and you start getting into that roof cycle where every year there's a number of roofs that have to be replaced, really whether they've been storm damaged or not, just because the life's kind of out on the shingles. They're having problems, and the cost to repair those problems isn't really worth the investment into the roof at its current age and condition. So that leads to a lot of replacements with that too. But when we started our company here, I kind of set our branch for Houston at least, in the Woodlands area. I wanted to be on the north side of town. Main reason was to be able to be close to go back home to go see family or whatever that lived up there. But wanted to be able to be in a community that was growing, in a community that was going to be more of a target market for us, because we've always prided ourselves on value and quality, and not just on price, even though we're willing to be competitive in most situations. But we kind of started our business in the Woodlands, and it really, because of the branding and everything that we've done over the years, it's went from a go out and hustle business to now we have regular phone calls every day, every week, with people that have roof issues that we need to respond to, whether that be roof repairs, roof maintenance, or a lot of replacements. And we still do a lot of insurance work too. I mean, we still have our storms and stuff that come through, and there's still a lot of our customers that may call us, hey, we've got a roof leak. Can you come out and see what's going on? And we get up and they've got a, big patch of shingles that are missing from a last windstorm that came through. That actually happened just this last week. Was a roof that I actually installed about 12 years ago. She had called me, and we send out happy anniversary cards for our customers every year. So the month that their roof was installed, we send them a happy anniversary card, just wish them happy anniversary on their roof installation. Yeah. Just as a way for customer retention and to stay in touch. But anyway, she'd gotten her card and said, it's been a long time. I think I need you to come out and check it out. And she had gotten a leak during Harvey, but she hadn't really seen it since, but she just wanted to get it checked out just in case. And I come out and she's, we're looking, and she goes, oh yeah, there's these shingles that I've been accumulating that fell off. I don't know what they're from. And I look up at the roof, and
Wow.
it's a patch about probably twice the size of this table that's missing on a roof.
Oh my gosh.
It hadn't started leaking in yet because of the underlayment that was underneath it. But it's obviously going to be an insurance claim, because not only did she have the wind damage to that one section, but it was a product that we installed that was a very unique and specific product with its size that's no longer manufactured, and there's not a shingle out there available to match it with, not only from looks but even from function. There's not a exact size to put that.
So she's going to have to replace the whole thing anyway.
She's going to have to replace the whole thing, or have shingles of a different size and look on slopes other than the other, which most insurance companies, to pay for like, kind, and quality to what they have, will usually, go ahead and cover the cost to do the whole roof.
Yeah.
So most likely that's what's going to happen for her. But
so are y'all still kind of lopsided into what you're actually doing? Meaning, like, are you still doing mostly like insurance claims, or have you kind of like balanced that out over the years?
It's obviously balanced out. When we have a storm that comes through, obviously it's an immediate bump in doing a lot of insurance work, because that's most of what would be coming in. But storm or no storm, our phone rings pretty regularly, whether they're just a leak issue or whatever, and most of the time it's circumstantial, whether or not it's insurance involved or not. We'll still get calls where someone's had the insurance out and their insurance is paid for a roof and they need an estimate. Yeah. But we also get the calls, like I mentioned, where someone, they may not know they have storm damage, but they know they've got a problem, and during the assessment of the problem, we realize, well, hey, you also have storm damage. You might think about making a claim and helping them with that. But there's also a lot of people that they just have old roofs and they've got problems, and they just need to be replaced, or at least should be considered to be replaced. Roofs can be repaired, and they can be repaired up into a long time, but as a roof gets older and it ages, it also kind of hardens and gets brittle and becomes a lot more vulnerable to damage the product around it when you're trying to repair a shingle. Shingles overlap, so in order to take a shingle out, the shingle above it has to be pliable enough to be lifted and manipulated in order to get the damaged shingle out. Well, if it's old and brittle, you're most likely going to tear or break that shingle too. Then you've got that one to do, and before you know it, you're either leaving a repair that's not really fully correctly repaired, or you're having to take it all the way to the slope. And you start getting into things like that, the cost starts getting pretty expensive. And if you're going to make that kind of investment into the roof on your home, you might as well go ahead and just invest that into getting the roof replaced and having it done right and uniform and all done at once. It's usually my suggestion to people. We're willing to do whatever what's in their budget. If their budget's only to do a slope and fix the slope, then that's what we do. But we try to be a little bit of consultant for them too, to just let them know that, hey, these are what your options are. And all things considered, I think long term this is your best option. But we let them know other options too at the same time.
Yeah, and I would imagine most people find that even roof repair, let alone like roof replacement, sort of comes. I mean, and I'm assuming, like, I'm generalizing for most people, like comes as like an unexpected expense or job. Yeah. I mean, so it can be like a frustrating situation to deal with, I would imagine.
And it's different than like, I need new tires. Yeah. Because that's super frustrating because, hundreds of dollars on a product that you're like, man, I don't really want to replace my tires. Yep. I feel like a roof is just that exponentially. Like, it needs to be done. It's got to be done. It's a safety thing even, and yet it's not a few $100s at this point.
It's typically not. Typically not. I mean, it can be. We our small repairs can be a couple $100, but the best thing someone can do is just have an awareness of the condition of the roof, how old it is. B, what is the typical life of a roof? Knowing how old your roof is and what that compares to a normal life cycle, so that you can start being mindful and preparing for that to happen when it does happen. But C, or the third thing, which I think is the most important thing, is having an awareness for roof maintenance. That's a term that most people have never even heard of. And when I have conversations with people about it, they're like, roof maintenance? I didn't think you maintained a roof. But you really should maintain.
Get up there and buff the roof.
The roof. Well, guys, number one, we live in Southeast Texas, right? Yeah. One thing that we are not short of is pine trees and pine needles.
Right.
So those tend to accumulate on the roof. Those really need to be taken off. There's acid in those needles that can, break down, shingle components. It can also hinder the water flow, causing things to pool, pond, and back up. So that's something that you want to do. But every roof that you do has a certain amount of exposed nails that have to be caulked, that are either at the base of a pipe jack, where your ridge cap, your hip and ridge cap, where it actually meets in the center, you have to do a final cap on it that usually gets 4 nails that have to be caulked over. Just various places, your pipe jacks that, for your hot water heater and your furnace, those are usually a collared type vent. Yeah. Well, at that collar where the pipe goes through, that's usually sealed with sealant. Your flashings, your chimney flashings, those are all sealed with sealant. And they should, be cut into your brick and that sort of thing too. But those all have caulkings that, how long does caulking really last? Sometimes it can last, a long time, but, you put something up on a roof where you get it baked with the heat normally, but your average asphalt shingle, when it's 100 degrees outside, 90 degrees, if it's in the sun, that shingle can get up to about 180 degrees to the surface temperature. So that 180 degree heat, even on the best quality of caulk over years, can break that caulk down where it can crack and split and peel off or fall off. And once those caulkings are gone, then you're vulnerable to start having like light seepage leaks. And people they're not even aware that they have a leak, because it might be seeping in at the surface. It might be starting to saturate that decking and dripping, but it's just dripping to the insulation. It's not making a stain. By the time somebody actually has a stain, it's usually soaked through the decking, the sheet, the insulation down to the sheetrock. And it may have resulted just from that roof not having caulking reapplied, down the road. I mean, we recommend it every 5 years at least. After 5 years, you really should just have all those caulkings and sealants just resealed and gone over. We call it a roof tune-up. And you really should get your roof tuned up about every 5 years or so, just to make sure all of those components stay fresh. Because if not, they could break down, fail. You wouldn't even necessarily know that they had failed until other issues have happened.
So like for a standard 3-2 house, I mean, what is something like that usually cost?
$400 to $500.
$400 to $500. Yeah. So it's like for every 5 years, it's costing you $100 a year.
$100 a year.
I mean, to maintain your roof, rather than spending $20-30 grand on a roof or something like that.
Because what you allow it to do is you allow the shingles. Everybody says, well, roofs don't last that long. This was supposed to be a 30-year roof. Well, the first thing, a 30-year roof is all that is a manufacturer's, settlement guarantee that they'll give you some sort of compensation or settlement for a prorated period up to 30 years if there's a manufacturing defect. Doesn't mean that's going to last that long, because an asphalt shingle, for example, is not going to perform in the same climate as other climates. In Texas, you're not going to have the same performance as you do in Minnesota, as you would in LA, or as you would in Boston.
Yeah.
Because the climates are so different that the roofs are going to wear differently. So there's no way to say that a roof's going to last a certain amount of time, but they can say for a period of however many years, it'll be free from defects, that our formulas in the manufacturing process are going to be exactly as intended, so that shingle will have optimal performance life while it's on your roof. So those can vary, but the average life expectancy here is usually about 15 to 20 years. The reason that's the life expectancy, the reason you don't see roofs lasting too much longer than that, is that's kind of the period where those shingles get really too brittle to properly repair well without causing further damage. And you start getting at a life where the investment to go in and fix a lot of damaged things starts becoming really not the best investment, when that investment could just go towards the cost of a roof.
Yeah.
However, if a roof is maintained, those vulnerable areas that tend to break down don't break down, and the roof doesn't start leaking, and you actually have the opportunity to allow those shingles to wear into those twilight years, because there's not other vulnerabilities that you would have. You're not having to necessarily replace damaged pipe jacks because you maintained them. You're not having to replace a patch because it soaked through and damaged the decking and got soft. You're able to actually let the roof wear at the level that it would normally wear, and you get a lot more life out of it. And there's other things that you can do too when you replace a roof, components that you can put into it, different membranes that the manufacturers all recommend having, that industry building standards here, they just aren't used. New construction as a whole is still done kind of on a very, very bare minimum from roofing, and it's acceptable. I mean, it's not a bad thing per se for an immediate concern, but those components are what makes the difference in the twilight years of life of the roof. You 12, 15, 20 years down the road, you end up with all these problems, and ultimately leads you to having to replace your roof maybe more prematurely than you would have had you built the roof to best practice standards, with premium underlayments, using ice and water shield membranes around, your problem areas, pipes, jacks, flashings, valleys, etc. Again, you're mitigating your exposure per se for leaks down the road that ultimately lead to roofs having to get replaced. And these are all the reasons that you would have to replace a roof if there wasn't a storm. We still do live in Southeast Texas, and we will get our occasional thunderstorm that comes through, but we're also keeping our eye on the Gulf every year too, to see what's coming in that. And you throw one of those into the mix, and it can kind of take everything else out of the equation, and it forces roofs to have to be replaced sooner too. But
so what with and I think you said that these were like the recommendations of manufacturers of the shingles that are saying that these extra things need to be put in the roof. How much longer is that extending the life of the roof that you've seen?
It's number one, it's a systematic approach. The manufacturers all sell a roofing system, right? And I've bought into that. I feel like a systematic approach is correct, because the shingles alone, obviously, will shed water, but when you're talking about a roofing system, there's so much more that goes into it than just your shingles. You have your underlayments, which would years ago was just a paper felt, a tar paper, and there's vulnerabilities with that, because that paper is easily torn, bubbles up, and if water ever gets behind the shingles, that's what's supposed to help keep the water from getting into the house. But with the vulnerabilities of that, a lot of times that'll happen. In northern climates and high elevation, it's actually code to have to use an ice and water shield membrane, which is a self-adhesive membrane that you usually stick down either directly to the deck or on top of the underlayment, depending on its location. That the whole purpose of that is to keep water from being able to enter in those junctions that are most vulnerable.
Sure.
Most houses, you're only adding $200 or $300 cost to add that ice and water shield. It's a self-curing, self-healing product that slides over your pipes and jacks like a jacket. Goes down underneath. You have to put it around the full perimeter of the roof in the north for ice damming, but we don't have ice dam issues. But just putting that product in those areas, you're keeping leaks from developing at those problematic areas. The other thing that it does, most manufacturers will give you a more complete and comprehensive warranty against shingle defects if you have that.
Okay.
And as a Master Elite contractor, we're Master Elite contractor for GAF, which is North America's largest shingle manufacturing company, most well known. Using all of their components, they will give a 25-year labor guarantee on the workmanship for leaks, in addition to the lifetime guarantee that they give on the shingles, which is prorated on a 50-year scale, but with that Golden Pledge warranty or even a System Plus type warranty that we include on all of our jobs, the System Plus, if they had a defect in the shingles, which is a slim chance, guys. I mean, we're talking 0.1% of shingles have a claim against them. It's a claim rate. But the amount of coverage that you actually get should you have a defect is exponentially different after about 5 years. So with that System Plus warranty on it, if you had a shingle defect any time in 50 years, they pay 100% of the replacement cost. And if you had a leak due to the installation or workmanship of the way the product was installed, 25 years, the manufacturer will pay to have it repaired.
Wow.
So, you're talking, especially new construction thing, bare minimum. I know they're trying to keep costs down and stuff, but being a homeowner show, we've got listeners out there that are either maybe considering buying a new home, or maybe they've bought a new home in the past. There is new construction. What types of things do you recommend them asking the builder so that they don't just, that's something that to me is like just, completely lost on me as the buyer. It's not something, I'm not educated in roofs. Why would I be? How could I be? All of those sorts of things. So what?
Well, you would listen to the homeowner show, is what you.
That's the way, which is why I'm asking the question. So what types of things would you ask?
Well, the best thing that you can do is to ask the questions before the home is built, so you have an opportunity to do something about it. At least now, the standard is the standard. You don't have any homes being built, to my knowledge. There's some things that are turning. I've got some home builders that I work with that they've already changed their underlayment to at least a synthetic, which is good. It's better than most. But the industry standard for most new construction roofs is still the old-fashioned paper felt, just normal shingles, no extra ice and water shield. It's all still done as inexpensively as possible and still be able to pass a normal inspection.
Sure.
So unless you've had the opportunity to discuss the construction process with the builder before, you're pretty... There's no one out there really doing anything that would be above board unless you're building a custom home and you're consulting with the builder about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. And those are the important things is, how is the roof system built up? Are they using all the components from the same, manufacturer as much as possible? Are they using ice and water shield membranes, around the pipes, jacks, and valleys? We're using a high-grade synthetic underlayment instead of paper-based felt. Are we properly ventilating the roof? What type of warranty are we getting? Are we just getting the standard manufacturer's warranty that any, Chuck in a truck gets when he goes and buys the shingles at Home Depot? Or we get, having...
What is that, by the way? What is like a standard...
your typical manufacturer's warranty for shingles, assuming that you bought what used to be called a 30-year shingle. 30-year shingles are pretty much obsolete, as all the manufacturers have changed their warranties from a 30-year to a lifetime to begin with. There's still one major manufacturer that still makes the same grade price point that's a 30-year warranty, but the warranty is all based on a prorated life period of that product. The ones that have a lifetime warranty, really it's 50 years that it's prorated. But if you had a shingle defect, which I've dealt with at least 7 or 8 in the last 2 years, that had the shingles were defective. There was issues in the manufacturing process that caused either blistering, where the shingles, had pops in them that popped the gravel off and left little craters all over the roof. But other common, manufacturing issues are, discoloration, where you have a color issue, you have bleeding, of the asphalt, where the asphalt will bleed onto the roof, curling, where the shingles will curl up. Those are all, common manufacturing, defects that the manufacturer will cover. But the most common is blistering. That's the one that I've experienced and seen the most. Just have blistering, degranulation in the product. So if you have that issue, and really the only way you know that have that issue is if you're doing your 5-year roof maintenance, get somebody up on your roof every few years just to make sure that it's okay. But if you have to make a claim, if you don't make that claim really, for sure within the first 10 years, but most of the time within the first 5 years, your coverage is very limited. Most manufacturers, if you read the fine print warranty, if you have a shingle defect, even within, day one, month one, they owe you for new shingles and the labor to install those shingles. Well, what about your tear off? What about your underlayments? What about your roof accessories, your pipes and jacks, your flashings, your drip
Conveniently
edge?
unmentioned.
Your nails, your caps. There's so many things that go into a roof that aren't the shingles and labor. So even within the first couple months, that portion wouldn't be covered. A lot of manufacturers, after 5 years, they don't pay for any labor. It's just what the shingles value is. After 10 years, all the manufacturers don't have labor coverage, and that's when they start prorating the value of what those shingles cost. And some manufacturers, it's a payment on what the shingles cost you, not what it costs today. Just in my time of doing, just since 2008, shingles have doubled in price.
Oh my gosh.
In the last 10 years, they've doubled in price.
Is there a reason for that, or?
Most of it was related to the cost of asphalt and the type of crude within the barrel because of the way that all of that's being used. I'm not a petroleum engineer nor a manufacturing purchaser, but the explanation given to me is just they're becoming more and more ways to refine the part of the barrel that's used for getting the asphalt, so the amount that's actually left over has become a smaller and smaller amount, and the grade it has to be in order to make shingles has to be a pretty high grade, and then even then there's certain purification things that have to go into it to make it hold up well. And because of that, because the supply has diminished, the demand has remained or increased, it's caused higher prices to produce. But if you had a problem, you don't want to get paid what it half of what it costs in a depreciated amount. With for example, using GAF's example, a system plus warranty, which cost me as a contractor $70, but we pretty much include it on our GAF system to jobs. So for $70, we have to use at least 3 of those 5 components on a roof. And those components mainly are your starter course, which everybody has to have anyway. You just use the manufacturer starter course instead of taking the old strip shingles and turning them upside down, which are not that great.
What is a starter course?
Well, every roof, installs from the bottom up, and the shingles overlap, so they seal to the shingle below it. Well, your first shingle doesn't have a shingle to seal to because it's the first one.
Oh, okay.
So you do a perimeter shingle all the way around. That's your starter course that allows the seam where those shingles meet to not have a crack there where water can go through.
I got you. Okay.
And also just to have a good component to be able to seal to that's fastened.
Okay.
But it really doesn't add much cost to use a manufacturer's starter strip than doing it the old-fashioned way.
I was really asking for Kevin. He's not familiar with roofer lingo.
Yeah, I just sit over here. I don't do much. Hey, I will ask you this though, because you're talking about asphalt shingles, and you're saying regular asphalt shingles.
Yeah,
there are a lot of different types of roofs.
Absolutely,
and there's everything from that to clay to metal, and others that I'm sure I have no idea what they are.
Sod roofs.
There you go.
Thatch. Don't forget the thatches out there.
Yes. Just throw some leaves up there, right? So I guess the question I've got is, once you start going into a different material other than asphalt, I know some of it is aesthetics, right? People want the look of maybe they want a different style to their house, and so they're using a clay or something like that. And I don't even know if clay is the right word, but
there's tile and slate and what? Help me out here, Justin. What am I missing?
Yeah, well, there's your main roofs that you have out there are either these types or ones that are meant to be these types. You have your asphalt shingles, which you have your strip shingles, your 3-tab type shingles you see on most track homes, or you have a laminated style, which has more of the look like a dimensional or shake style architectural shingle. Those are still by far the most common because they're still the most affordable roof that you can put on from a initial investment standpoint. If you really break down the longevity and some of the other factors, I think arguments could be made that you're actually saving money by investing into some of these other products that have different values. But the most common outside of that are metal. Mm-hmm. And within metal, you have either your metal paneled type roofs that you see as, often called standing seam type roofs. But there are also metals that are formed to look like tile or slate. There's granulated metal that look like tile or slate or shake, even, that look like the old wood shake.
Are they making some out of like aluminum now? Is that...
They make them out of aluminum or steel.
Okay.
There's different pros and cons to either of those options.
I saw solar panel.
Don't get him started, man. I've seen him go off online on people about this.
I'm just saying, there's so many options. I guess that's my point here. Yeah. There's so many options, and I understand that y'all can do different kinds, whatever. But really, where I'm getting with this is, at what point is it smart for me to consider something other than just the typical cheapest option? At what point does it make sense to get a different type of shingle? Does it have something to do with how long you plan to be in your home, how how old the home is? Does that have anything to do with it? Does it have anything to do as far as resale value even of your home based on what other homes in the neighborhood have? Mm-hmm. Those sorts of things. Like, I just want some help understanding some of those things.
Sure. Well, number one, if you live in a neighborhood that has only asphalt shingle roofs on it, it's going to be hard to increase the value of your home by putting on, say, a metal roof.
Sure.
If you're going to be in a home long enough, those are always going to pay dividends. A typical metal roof or a tile roof is going to last a lot longer than an asphalt roof does here in the climate that we have. The biggest benefits to a metal roof is it's a lot more energy efficient. Most all panels, as long as you're not doing a jet black color, are they're Energy Star approved. Okay. So you're just because of the reflectivity of the panels. Whether that's in metal panels or even in the ones that are shaped to look like shake or tile. It's lightweight, so it's less stress on your structure of your home. You don't have, unlike a tile roof that can weigh, 1,700 pounds per square, as opposed to a shingle roof that weighs maybe 250 pounds per square.
Right.
Most metal roofs only weigh about 100 to 150 pounds per square.
Okay.
So it's real lightweight, real energy efficient. Most of your steel roofs that are out there are Class 4 impact resistant, so they come with a guaranteed insurance discount for having that. Most of those metal roofs are Miami-Dade approved, so they're rated for more than 130 mile per hour wind. So you're pretty much making an investment that you're not going to have to replace that roof. And although you can have maintenance on a metal roof, it's much less than you would have even on a shingle roof.
Oh, okay.
And the savings that you have between your energy savings and your insurance savings will typically pay for the additional cost to do metal if given enough time to do so. The other thing is the depreciation factor. You're going to be able to get a true 40, 50 year life out of most metal roofs that you're not going to get out of a shingle roof. So you factor in the inflation cost and all of that. It's ultimately a less expensive option to put on, say, a metal roof that might cost twice to three times as much as what it would have cost just to put a shingle roof on when you built the home. When you get into tile and that sort of thing, you're really fitting a style for that home. Obviously certain homes are, Spanish type homes. They're built to have a style of tile on it. So once you get into tile, you have to make a decision. Do we put on a real nice clay? And, the way that clay made it, those are really made to last forever. I mean, there's imported clays that come here from Europe that are 800 years old that have been taken off. You take those off, and it's called reclaiming, where you remove them, you replace all the underlayments, decking is needed, then you put them back on. Mm-hmm. Same thing with slate. Slate's just rock that's quarried, out of mines and shaped into roofs. They're very heavy. But they're beautiful, and they do last forever, but they're extremely heavy. But they're also extremely expensive, so you're paying for a lot for that, but you're getting a certain look. Typically real slate roofs, real old clay, those are the type of homes that in River Oaks and stuff that you see that have those, because you're talking 5 to 10 times the cost of a shingle roof to do some of those. Part of that is that you also are required to have to use either stainless steel or copper nails and flashings, that is also, a pretty high price point to do. There are affordable options in between.
That's like 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch. What kind of nails are we talking about?
Right, got to get that straight. But there are more affordable options within that. There are tile roofs or slate roofs specifically that are made by companies. We've done 3 in this last year that are synthetic slates. They're actually polymer, or a rubberized plastic type material to hold it in your hand, but it is molded to look like a real slate.
Wow!
And it looks authentic. We've done 3 homes with it this year. And it's still an investment.
Sure.
It's still an investment that I would say is probably 2 to 3 times what you pay for a shingle roof. But you're getting that style and that look, an authentic look of what a real slate would be.
Yeah.
There are asphalt shingles that have a slate style look too, but you can still see that they're obviously just a shingle roof, but they fit more of the style of the home a little better.
Okay.
That's a little bit easier price point to get into. But there's not really any return other than the aesthetic value on the shingle side. The return on doing the synthetics or the real slate, you're getting, again, they're class 4 impact resistant, and depending on the color, they're a little more energy efficient. With tile too, you also have concrete that is usually a more affordable option than the clay. Concrete's most commonly used here. Boral has a factory where they make their concrete tile out in Katy, and it's pretty reasonably priced to be able to do it. It's not the gap that it used to be to jump up to tile, but you have increased cost in framing, structural engineering, foundation, etc. to hold the roof and weight that it's going to be on it.
Sure.
And the most important thing in doing a good tile roof of any kind is the substrates, having the right underlayments, having everything underneath it, because a good tile roof is one that you don't need a tile on to waterproof. Your roof should be waterproof on a tile roof without a single tile on it.
Wow. And
especially with the technology of Boral has an elevated batten system that actually, instead of the batten being the old-fashioned, 1x2s that are right onto the deck, it's an elevated batten so that there's actually a little bit of an airspace between the tile itself and the deck, whether you're using a flat tile like a slate or a barreled tile of sorts, where if water ever gets underneath that tile system for any reason, it's got a clear channel on top of the underlayment that escapes all the way out at the bottom of the roof. If you have a tile roof leak issue with a traditional application, those battens are water barriers that trap that water. And with that weight, you get a bad leak on a tile roof, you could have collapsing and all kinds of really major issues.
Okay.
But the standards have improved a lot on those styles from what they used to be. They used to put the oldest concrete tiles that I see done around here that were done in the 70s and 80s, they didn't even have decking underneath them. They just have they have your lath boards that are on top of your rafters, and they're just batten on top of rafters with tile on top of that with felt underneath it.
Wow.
And there's no wonder they're having issues and problems. And
right.
There's been a lot of improvements, but it's all really the price point and the value, the return, how long you're going to be there. In the neighborhood it's in too,
Sure.
If it's a custom home in a custom home neighborhood that has a lot of those in it, it's almost going to be expected to have that to maintain the value of the neighborhood. If you're building a home out in the country, you're doing something that fits the style of that, but you're also, you've got to think about your buyer and what they're going to want in the home, and is that going to help it hold its value? And obviously that's a conversation to have with your realtor,
sure,
etc. But there's a lot of tangible benefits and to having something besides an old asphalt shingle roof. And as a roofer, when I build my next house, it's not going to have an asphalt shingle roof on it.
There you go.
I'm going to make sure that most likely it will either be a metal roof, or even one of those synthetic, shake or slate type products, because it gives you that old, authentic look and feel of those traditional products, but with, the longevity and the lightweight benefit, etc. But
cool.
I mean, I do want to give you a couple minutes to address the virality of Elon Musk, and because I've seen you, I think I've seen you engage with some folks with that viral article. Is that the one that's like the Solar City stuff is just as affordable as a regular roof? That's
the thing that gets me, because it is nowhere near the cost of a regular roof.
So educate us a little bit here, because I think this is something everybody's interested in. I mean, like we've had several guys come out and quote us for solar power. I mean, like it's something I think people should look into for sure.
Well, and to my knowledge, I'm not a solar expert because we don't actively sell solar. I've always been interested in providing it and getting into it.
Yeah.
And every time I've checked and ran the numbers, from a numbers guy, it hasn't really made a lot of sense to me. Most of the people that are getting it are usually people that are passionate about having that and trying to be on the cutting edge of where things are going. But you can add traditional solar panels to any roof, and there's a lot of those that are being done. But if you've ever asked anybody what they've spent on it, it's a pretty big price tag.
Yeah,
it's not unheard of to spend, even just to get solar panels added, 20-30 grand.
Well, I'll give you the numbers I just got the other day, because we just had a guy out. I mean, just for our place, it was going to be $90,000.
Yeah,
to power. I mean, like it's a few buildings, but like we don't use a whole bunch of power,
right?
But I was like, 90,000.
How many years of electricity is $90,000?
Yeah, well, and then I don't know how it is in every state, but like it was for us, it would have only been $60,000 because there's an immediate tax credit.
You get a 30%.
Yeah. So,
which is interesting how they do that, because the tax credit's really only on the product. So they make the product's $90,000 and they install it for free.
Right. Yeah.
I can't imagine why they do that.
I don't know.
Thanks a lot.
but still, even when you bring that down to even a $60,000 investment, how many years of energy are you buying up in advance?
Yeah. And then in all honesty, it's not going to provide you with all of your electricity.
You're still going to have some need.
I mean, unless you just cut yourself off, which they don't let you do.
Yep. So and I guess that's the practical side in me. I mean, there's something really cool to be said about being off the grid and having your own power source and all of that. But
have you looked at the numbers for the Solar City ones that they're?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's only laughable because this roof's going to cost the same as a traditional roof. That's the statement that always gets me.
Right.
And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you look at it, they always tell you what the price is per square foot. Mm-hmm. Well, roofing is priced by the square, which is 100 square foot. Uh-huh. And to my knowledge, I believe it's somewhere around $2 a square foot is what they sell the tiles for.
Right.
For it. And it's done over the whole roofing system. Well, $2 a square foot is how much a square when there's 100, or it's like $20 a square foot. It's in the thousands of dollars per square.
Right.
To just buy the tile.
Yeah.
Well, how much more do you have for the other accessories, for the electricity, for all the hookup, for the installation? It's going to be a product that your average home is going to cost more than six figures to roof. A roof that you would put on yourself for a residential roof that might cost $10,000.
Yeah.
This roof is going to cost $180,000. That's the disparity between that.
Seems worth it.
Yeah, I mean, your $250,000 house has now got a $180,000 roof on it. It's just the numbers haven't lined up. I think it's an awesome roof. I think it's really cool. I love the technology. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on it or snuff it.
Yeah.
I just right now,
just come at it honestly.
Honestly, from a numbers guy, right now the return is not there for the investment it takes to do it. Yeah. Unless it's something that you're just passionate about and your desire to have that is, high enough that
if you want it, you want it.
You want it, and if it's in your budget to do it, then man, more power to you.
Rodeo up. Yeah, come on, be fun.
But anyway, don't see you having a good financial return on that investment.
Yeah.
You have to really want it.
You have to really want it and be okay with just, it's kind of like when you go buy that brand new car, you're buying it because you want that new car.
Right.
And eventually it's going to be worth something, but when you leave the lot, you just lost whatever that depreciation was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Multiply that by 100, and that's the same feeling of depreciation on buying that solar system.
Take a hard pass on that.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some increase in value and all those other things. Again, I'm not trying to
Sure.
be too negative on it, but just you look at the cost of energy now and how affordable it still really is. Man, it just right now, the cost of having to set yourself up for most of those solar systems just don't pay a normal return, especially here in Texas. I know in other places in the country, there are more aggressive programs to be able to help offset some of those costs. And some of those places, it makes sense. And a lot of the companies here, they get people sold on the financing because a lot of times your payment can be equal to what your energy payment is, so that it's a wash. And to some people, that makes a lot of sense if you're going to be in that home forever.
Yeah.
But if you ever sell the house, you still got that payment.
Yeah.
Right.
For the next 20 years.
Unless you can roll it in somehow, which I don't think they let you do.
That's what can get scary also.
Yeah. Well, man, what are some things that like just the typical homeowner can be on the lookout for to just be aware that hey, there might be a problem?
Number one is just be mindful again of its age. You know, if your typical roof life is 15 to 20 years, and you know your roof's about 12 years old, you know what? It can't hurt just to have somebody come out and look at it, and especially if you've never had it maintained or know if it's maintained, you probably should just get a roof tune-up. You know, because we come out, we look at everything, we see if there's anything really alarming going on, and we'll at least come in, we'll tune up all the pipes, jacks, you know, seal any exposed nails, and just try to, you know, do a good maintenance on it to make sure that everything's, you know, holding up well. If you really don't know how old your roof is, you just bought the house, and, you know, I've only lived in it 2 years, but I really don't know how old it was before. You know, some of the signs that kind of give an age away is the streaking. You know, you get, you know, algae that'll grow on a roof that gets kind of the dark streaks and stuff on it. That's usually a pretty good, you know, tell that roof's getting close to at least 10 years old if you're starting to see some of those algae type streaks in it, which would be at least, again, a good idea to have it looked at and have, you know, regular roof maintenance done. The other things outside of that, you know, are just sags or dips or places that look like you could have water. If you're physically capable to be able to get in your attic, you know, hey, next time you're in your attic at Christmas, you know, slide a flashlight around, look at your plywood. Is there any brown or black spots that are growing on your plywood, you know, that could be from water penetration that may not be showing itself up inside the house? You know, those are good things to look at too, so you can get ahead of it and get it fixed before it turns into a bigger problem.
Good stuff, man. All right, we're coming up on the hour, Kev. You ready to bring it on home?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll move into the final four.
The final four.
So this is something that we do with all of our guests. Just ask them 4 questions.
I'm typically not allowed.
Well, you just typically don't remember them. So
Thus disqualified.
That's exactly right. So 4 questions. This is a test. You ready?
All right.
Okay. Number 1, what's the must-have tool you won't leave the house without?
My ladder.
Okay. Ladder.
It's hard to get on roofs or help people with roofs if you don't have a way to access the roof.
Yeah.
So you got to have a ladder, and unfortunately, I have left home without it before by mistake, and I've also shown up to my next appointment.
Oh no!
And realized the ladder was at the last appointment.
Oh
wow!
Rats.
That's not working out.
Doesn't make for a good afternoon.
No. Did you ever ask, can I borrow your ladder?
Real professional guy here. Yeah. Roofer without a ladder, beware.
Right. That's fine. Do you have a trampoline anywhere I can do reverse?
Yeah.
Up onto the roof. All right. Number 2, second question. What's a job you've walked away from?
You know, there's not a job specifically that comes to mind that I'll walk away from, but I can think of probably half a dozen that I wish I had walked away from.
Okay.
You know, those are things that you just kind of learn, and it does kind of give you cues. So, you know, unfortunately, a personality flaw of mine is I'm an eternal optimist, and I feel like I've never met a challenge that I can't, you know, at least
turn around,
conquer.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
And I do, honestly. I take pride in satisfying some of the most difficult customers out there. I enjoy when I get the engineer that's got a 5-page list of questions that he wants to talk to me about and look over, you know, because I know that I'm going to be able to answer those questions and to be able to take care of it. But there has been jobs that I've done where you get into and, you have the customer that has a personality in the morning that's not the same personality that afternoon. And there's a third personality that shows up the next morning. and although they said they were happy with it yesterday, now all of a sudden they're not happy with it.
Yeah.
And then you figure out a way to make them happy. And then the next day they're not happy about it for another reason.
Right.
Those are the kind of customers that, gosh, probably were better suited for my competitor.
Yeah.
But, overall, I mean, I love people in general.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with people of all types and kinds and backgrounds and, roof situations. So it's, I try to take on, if I feel like I can do it, I take it on. I try not to steer away from it too much. But, as any business owner or anybody in the construction field, you've got to be smart about it. Sometimes there are customers that ask for things that are just not realistic, and you have to be smart enough to steer them away from.
Right.
And there has been jobs that I've just told people that we couldn't do something. It wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It's just that it wasn't physically possible to do it in a way that, everyone feels good is not going to be, okay. Wanting to put a slope on something and a product on that slope that's not graded for that slope.
Yeah.
Sure.
Those are the kind of things. Somebody wants this patio, for example, or they want to do an addition and make all the roof lines tie together, but the only way it ties together if you put almost a flat slope on it. But if you do a flat slope, you got to have a flat material. Well, they don't want that flat material because it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like the rest of the house. So I mean, those are the kind of things you can get into that sometimes you just have to walk away from it because it's not really in the scope of what you want to offer to do.
Sure. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right, third question. How do you wind down at the end of a long day?
Man, most of the time, it's not to sound sappy, but it's just through good conversations with my wife. Just kind of visiting with her, asking her about her day, talking about my day. Sometimes it might be over a good margarita at the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
But just that and a guilty confession. I have been known to wind down with a little Candy Crush.
Oh,
okay.
It does it. Just kind of.
It's good to get that kind of stuff out in
takes
the
your
open.
mind, off of off of the stresses of the day and just kind of.
It's an escape tool for sure.
It is.
Yeah. All right. The Candy Crush. It's out.
Are you any good?
No. I refuse to buy the power-ups.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So sometimes I'll go 20 times on the same level till it feels sorry enough for me. It just lines them all up. It's not.
Eventually the stars align.
Yes, I mean, that game's been out, almost 10 years, and I think I'm only on level 131.
Man, I believe in you. I think you can get there. Right. All right, last question. You've done well so far. Last question. What's one of the best pieces of wisdom or advice that you've ever received?
Man, it's a good thing you asked that. I actually just shared this with my team, kind of coming into the new year. And it's true in life, it's true in business, it's true in whatever you do. But it's the concept of, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true because if you just wing through your day, you wing through your week, you wing through life, man, you're really leaving yourself short. You may have some successes and you may fall, backwards over into a good circumstance that day, but you could also step on a rattlesnake. You don't know. You've got to plan ahead. You got to set your route, whether that's in business, whether that's in life. You got to have goals and you got to have vision. You got to know what you're working towards each day, and especially on the short term within business, if you're not aware of what needs to be happening on the next day and the next week, it's so easy to let things fall through the cracks and disappoint people, upset people, and ultimately not achieve your goals of what you want to accomplish for yourself and for your business and ultimately for your customers.
Yeah,
and that's good. I agree.
Yep, that actually reminds me of I think that's a part of a series that Jim Rohn did, where he's talking about best time to start your day is as soon as you finished it.
Yeah.
In your head, the best time to start your week is as soon as you've finished it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's crazy how when you start backing that out, that you can actually have that vision for that day and that week and that month and that year.
Well, we yesterday, on Sunday evening, I just texted out to my entire staff, just saying, hey, your most productive and successful weeks are planned on Sunday night.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Just a nugget to think about. When you're lying in bed tonight or sitting on the couch, get your little piece of paper out and make yourself a list.
Yeah.
That's right.
Use your notes on your phone. Do something. But, we all have appointments that we have to do, but how are you going to spend that time in between appointments? What objectives do you have to get done? What are you planning to get done so that you get it done? Otherwise, it most likely won't happen.
Yeah, you have to plan to be successful, I think, and I think that it's obvious that you're doing things well. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I've definitely learned some about roofs that I didn't know, and hopefully there's someone out there listening in the world who was benefited from this as well. My understanding is that you're even gonna offer a little incentive here. Do you have an offer?
Absolutely, man. I mean, anybody on the show that wants to call in and make a mention of the show, we'll do $50 off of any roof repair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We'll do up to $500 off any roof replacement over $5,000 or more, which most roofs are over $5,000 or more.
Yeah.
But also we'll do $100 off of any roof tune-up, which I think would be appealing to any listener, because unless you just had your roof put on the last couple of years, you probably would be somebody that would probably benefit from having your roof tuned up. And
sure.
Those roof tune-ups, like I said, are usually around $300 to $400 for a basic roof. If it's a big roof, steep cut up, I mean, it could get up to $600 or $700, but it's typically what you're looking at for getting one done. And like I said, we'll do $100 off of any of those just for
That's awesome.
any of the listeners.
Good deal.
Don't let Kevin trick you calling in with a fake voice, though.
Yeah, my voice is too distinctive to get away with that.
No female British accents.
We've only fall for that once.
Oh, really? So this won't do it, will it?
No.
Okay.
So if people have any questions, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Man, I've got no problem giving out my cell phone.
Ooh, lay it on us.
You get directly to me.
Yeah.
It's 832-875-7663. You can text to that number, call that number. You can also email me, just at Justin, Justin, at fairclaimsroofing.com, FAIRCLAIMS roofing.com. And we'll respond as quick as we can. Our office number is also 281-367-0466. You can speak to any of my admin staff and get an appointment booked, but just reach out to us. We're here. You can reach us. We've got a Facebook page. You can contact us through that.
Yeah. Send you a little message on there.
Yeah.
A little love note.
Yeah, a little love note.
All right.
Go give us a like.
There you go. That's what we like.
We put whatever's convenient for them, man. They can pick their poison and get a hold of us, and happy to respond and help out any way we can.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You can find Justin in all those ways. Hope you guys reach out to him and send him all your lovely roof questions.
Yeah.
Anything else we got, Kev?
And I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in. And, we're here every Tuesday. So make sure you're subscribing to us so you never miss an episode. And we will talk to you next time.
See ya.